Uh-oh. What's
You're
going on
live.
here? My Facebook isn't going for some reason. Oh well, we'll go without Facebook. Anyway, hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm Project Constitution. Joining me today, my guest co-host Stephen Benoon from Israeli News Live. He also on X at Stephen Denoon. And then our special guest tonight is Phil Turney, one of the crew members and survivors of the SS Liberty disaster. So we're going to interview him tonight. We're going to talk about his experience with that. He's got a new book out. We'll show you that right here called "Stay Afloat." Coming soon. You can order it from his website. Um, and then we're also going to talk about his theory on Charlie Kirk and what happened to him. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. Thank you guys for joining us, and let's go ahead and take it away, Steve.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Phil, for coming on and taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this. I know you had a very eventful weekend. Won't go into that unless you decide to. You had me on edge. So,
Yeah.
but what really was very impressive recently, Phil. I know that when I first learned about you, my wife had shared some interview clips that you had done early on, and of course, me and Yana both have interviewed you before in the past a couple of times, and then of course Rick Wiles, very good friend of mine, Rick, and the whole team down there when they brought so many crew members and did a beautiful documentary about the USS Liberty, the survivors, what happened, Israel's involvement, the cover up by the U.S. government, and then Candace Owens, of course, Colin, Candace seems to really like his work that he does. She shares his work from time to time. But then I saw you go on with Candace, and when I saw that, I thought, now you've just hit it out of the ballpark. And so, if you would, Phil, share a little bit with us about yourself and what you're doing now, the work, because you've also started a new podcast. And you've taken off the gloves. So thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Well, thank both of you, Colin and Stephen. Listen, yeah, the gloves been off with me for a long, long time. And it's all because of one thing that happened in history that is covered up. And it's been covered up. And I'll say not just from LBJ, but all the way to Trump, President Trump. They won't touch it. We got a form letter back from him. It was a group letter. Well, two of us, the former president of the LVA, Larry Bone, and myself, penned a letter to President Trump asking specific questions about the USS Liberty. We got a form letter back thanking us for our service. That's it.
Mm.
Everyone is afraid, Phil. I mean, APAC,
It,
literally controls every branch of our government now.
it's sad. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Colin.
I was going to say it's sad. They basically have bought and pay, they've bought our congressmen. They've bought even the president. They've bought our congressmen. They've bought our president. They interfere in our elections, and we're not a sovereign country anymore. And people need to wake up to that.
Absolutely, they need to wake up to it. And it goes way, way beyond the USS Liberty. Even before that, the power, the money, and the greed. But the USS Liberty should be in every schoolroom, every college, taught with transparency. That's all we want is transparency from our government, which we haven't had in 58 years. They won't even talk to us. In fact, Colin, Stephen, I've sent letters to them And so many of my other shipmates, and they come back and say, well, it's already been investigated 5 times. We're not going to investigate it anymore. But they're lying. There's never been one single investigation. And to get back to Candace Owens, she is a blessing for the United States of America. She is a saint, in my view, for taking over his and to stand up, not only to this government but the Israeli government. And that's exactly what we've been doing for 58 years, standing up against our government and the Israeli government. But which government really is it? What government controls this country? As you said, AIPAC, all of them are getting funds. They won't say anything. The hell with the USS Liberty and the truth. They murdered 34 Americans on the USS Liberty that day. 34 young men blown to bits. 174 others wounded. 871 rockets plus rocket and cannon holes in that ship. Over 5,000 armor-piercing bullets. Napalm burning us up. A 40 by 40-foot torpedo in the side in this 2-hour bloodbath. 2-hour bloodbath, and our country didn't come help us. They knew we were under attack. Well, of course they knew we were under attack. They set us up. We were just a lamb sent to slaughter. But guess what? In that 2-hour attack, Israel couldn't sink a helpless ship. All we had was our wits and our will to live. And we defeated the mighty IDF with all they've done to us. And we're going to defeat this government by it too. The truth matters to American. People are waking up. And I'm sad to say Gaza brought out the very worst of everything that's been done. And everybody looks at Israel now with disdain, disgust. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tom Massey, maybe a few others. But the rest of them, they're all bought and paid for up by AIPAC. And I guess I've said enough, but it's always been that way, and it'll continue to be the way, not unless we get people like you, Candace, Jake Shields. Well, listen, Candace Owens, Jake Shields, Myron Gaines, Nick Fuentes, Jocko Willink, Jay Slay, Mike Fuentes, Jimmy Dore, Scott Ritter, Burn Pit, and of course, Deep Shallow Dive, a friend of mine, Ray. We're partners in my trying to get the truth out. That's what we're trying to do. PhilTurneyPodcast.com. But you guys go ahead and ask any questions you want. I'd be glad to answer them.
We've actually got a clip of your episode on Candace. I'd like to just play a few minutes of that for people so they can kind of get a gist of it there. It was a really spectacular interview, and it's actually, Candace recently, I believe last week, she said it was her most favorite interview of all time. So let's go ahead and just play a few minutes of this here.
Very, very hot. I tried to go up and put it out and see if I could. They shot up all our fire hoses too.
We had no way to fight fires with water at all. They shot them all up
instantly in that first 20 minutes. Out the antennas instantly, the fire hoses instantly, so you couldn't take out fire. And during those 25 minutes, what were you doing specifically?
I was getting people off deck, taken to a triage in the mess decks. The whole mess decks was full of people laying on the tables, on the floor. It was a sea of broken and bloodied men. And it continued like that for the entire attack. And then the torpedo boats got up to us. They fired 5 torpedoes at us.
So all the antennas are taken out. 25 minutes has passed, and they're obviously assuming that you can't communicate your distress. You indicated in your letter, was it before the torpedoes that fortunately somebody had taken one one of those
Yes.
offline?
Terry Haldebardier is a third-class radioman. He strung a long wire to the only antenna. He took that antenna offline because it wasn't working. So they didn't hit it because they were using heat-seeking missiles to hit all the antennas. Because when they're tuning, they throw off heat, and they took them all out except that one, and he got it. Thank God. I mean, there's reasons for all this happened, and he got hooked up, rockstar, and like I said, it went to Vietnam. The Sixth Fleet picked it up. They automatically sent aircraft from the Saratoga.
Oh, your microphone, Colin.
So that was Phil on Candace. That was Phil's interview with Candace. I suggest you guys all go check that out if you get a chance. It's a spectacular interview.
Watch every minute of it.
Absolutely. And I can only imagine, what you were feeling in the moment, as you were being attacked, under attack, helpless, being, like you said, lambs to slaughter, just left there, vulnerable. It's really sad that our own government is willing to do that to its own people just to protect an evil empire like Israel.
And supposed to be, Colin, supposed to have been our allies. And Phil, please speak to that. And I've got a bombshell that Cynthia McKinney posted I'm going to share with you in a moment that I don't know if you're aware of or not. But please, Phil, elaborate on this, because you guys were there on a spy mission, and not against Israel, but they're supposed to be our ally. And can you kind of walk us through what happened to you guys that day?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. And Cynthia McKinney, she took some heat before too. I'm interested to see what she said, but we got there on the. We went into Rota, Spain, picked up 3 Marine linguists, and then we picked up a couple civilians, CIA, NSA type people, and we got under the way as quick as we could into the Mediterranean. And when we got on station, that was on the 7th in the morning. The Israeli aircraft started reconnoitering our ship. Flying boxcar, they call it a Nor Atlas, made in France, I believe, and a DC-3 and smaller aircraft with the Star of David on them. And they were, they would come so low to the deck, it would shake the deck plates. We'd wave at the pilots, so they'd wave back. We thought everything was fine. The interesting
it's
part
supposed to be your ally, correct? Yeah,
it's supposed to be our ally. But the interesting thing is, Colin, when we started going into a war zone, the captain asked for a destroyer escort, just in case anything happened. And they denied that, not once, but twice. David Lewis, he was in charge of all the spies there. He asked for a destroyer escort. That was denied also. Twice they denied it. You got an American flag flying. You got GTR 5 on your bow, both sides. You got everything. USS Liberty written on the stern. And guess what they did? They said, no, you don't need it. You are protected by that flag up there. Little did we know that flag didn't mean nothing to none of them, not even our own country. And it's the same way today. There's no statute of limitations on cold-blooded, premeditated murder, especially when our government hired the hitmen to do it. They hired them and paid them billions for murdering Americans on the high seas, and they're still getting billions. We were, listen, this attack was brutal, believe me. It was something like you've never seen. It was in a horror story. How we survived, only God knows. By the grace of God, I'm here right now. All power goes to Jesus Christ. He's
That's what it is.
Absolutely. It's all about God. And he kept me alive for this, as he did other survivors. And that's why I do this. And then the jet aircraft that came, they were all blackened out. They were Mirage jets firing rockets, cannons, and machine guns at us, dropping napalm. I mean, and then your own government leaves you out there hoping we'd sink. The whole deal, this was a land grab. They wanted us to sink, bring the United States into war and on the side of Israel. And there were nuclear airplanes in the sky ready to come nuke Cairo even before we got attacked. That's what they're covering up. This is one of the most unique, cruel, insane cover-ups in your life to hear this, but it is. JFK fits in the same category because the same people did it.
Well, Phil, with that right there, I think Phil froze up for a second, but with what he just said there, JFK fits in the same category. Can you pull up this this particular post that I have here, Colin?
Yep.
Phil, Cynthia McKinney posted this. Me and Cynthia have been friends for a long time. We've interviewed her multiple times. Her and my wife are good friends. She just posted this memo from 1963, Secret Service memo, reads, "Our new backers are the Jews as soon as they take care of Kennedy." Now, and I'll show it to you, if you scroll down to the bottom of that memo highlighted there, and you guys may not see it, is a little bit blurry, it's not the best here, but it says, "We now have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews as soon as we or they take care of Kennedy." That's what the memo said in 1963. Phil, is that any surprise to you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's not a surprise. Not a surprise one bit. I mean, when you get control of the banks, the Congress, the senators, the dog catcher, the lawnmower guy, everybody, you control the whole system. And that's what it's controlled by. Look at you guys. Okay, we're not on mainstream media. We're doing this because we love our country. We love America. Only one country. We love this country, America first. And to be in this position to tell the truth to the American people and the world, I think it is the kingpin of breaking the back of the Zionist control over this country, because so much is going on with Epstein, Charlie Kirk, everything else. It's all going against them. The war in Gaza. Oh my God. Can you even fathom to look at that stuff I've looked at, and I can't do it anymore. It drives me to tears to see that.
I'm the same way. The stuff, it will haunt me, the things that I've seen out of there. I mean, it's just, and people that say it's not happening, it's all fake. No, I'm telling you, it is real. Go look on Telegram. Go look at any one of these news channels on Telegram, and you will see the raw videos, the raw pictures of them slaughtering children, girls, babies in Gaza, and it's disgusting. It's a genocide. It's what it is. It's a genocide.
And Phil, the sad thing is, me and my wife, we were Zionist. She wasn't her whole life. She grew up as a Jehovah's Witness when I first met her, and then I took her into Zionism when she came out of that. Sad to say. I come from a Jewish background, not practicing, but still my parents were Jewish. So I lived in Israel before I married my wife. And firsthand, the one thing that began the early waking up for me that Zionism was wrong was when I lived in Jerusalem. It was during the Intifada back in 2004. I'd survived a suicide bombing, and I couldn't help but wonder, why would this 18-year-old girl blow herself up? That was on September 22nd, 2004. And that kind of made me think. And then I went back to the house that afternoon, and I was telling a friend of mine who's a roommate of mine there, And he was an IDF soldier. He was going through rehab. And he says, "Oh, Steve," he says, "we target practice on Palestinians." And I said, "What?" He said, "You think I'm kidding you? I'm telling you, we target practice, to get our skills up. We just kill them off." And I give him a hard way to go about it, because I was a Christian, and even though he was Orthodox Jewish, I'm like, you don't go around killing people just for target practice, right? So I knew firsthand just from the testimony then, and then of course, Phil, before Gaza happened, a friend of mine in the intelligence community, a year before it happened, he said, "Steve, there's going to be an event that's going to take place in the Middle East. I'll tell you when you see it." He said, "It will be horrendous. It'll be so bad, it'll bring about Third World War." I said, "Is it with Israel? Is it Iran?" He said, "I'm not at liberty to tell you. I'm telling you, I can't say nothing." When Gaza happened, it had been almost a year. They trained these guys. And I always said, Phil, they talk about October the 7th. To me, Netanyahu is the biggest traitor of his own people. He allowed the Jewish people to be slaughtered so that, and then that they didn't slaughter enough, he went in there under the Hannibal doctrine and then went ahead and made himself a Molech sacrifice and burned a bunch of them alive so he could justify his war against Gaza, which there was no justification for this. This was, like you said, Phil, it was a land grab. And they murdered these Palestinians, innocent women and children and men as well, not just the women and children, but the men as well that have, and Hamas, we know good and well in 2017, Netanyahu was saying right there before the Knesset, "You've got to fund Hamas. We have to have Hamas in order to keep from the PLO getting a two-state solution." It's always been about a land grab, Phil. And just like the sinking of the USS Liberty, they wanted to sink you guys and kill you off so they could take Egypt. They 9/11, no different. It's everywhere you look. And I think even Charlie Kirk, with Charlie, the big issue with Charlie, he began to question it. Yes, was he a Zionist? Sure he was. So was I. But it takes
I was
time.
as well.
When you wake up, it takes time to start getting the blinders off and saying, "Wait, something's wrong here."
And part of that is because of them indoctrinating us in the schools, all throughout our lives. Yeah, they indoctrinate us, that Israel is, the homeland, the Holy Land. We must protect them at all costs. And, that's ingrained in people and it's programmed. And one of the things why it's so hard to get people to wake up and understand is because of that,
It really is. And, the easiest way for people to wake up is just look at what your eyes tell you, your ears. You could see and hear, and listen. If I was, Charlie Kirk, for instance, he did say that the USS Liberty was nothing but a conspiracy theory, but that was before he took the change. And he did change. You start thinking, well, I believe, I'm not inside of his head, but he wasn't going to be controlled. And look where it got him. Look what they're doing to Candace Owens right now. Death threats from Macron, the French government, the French Foreign Legion, all this hate. All she's doing is be a beacon of the truth. She loves America. She'll stand up for America. And I would say Candace Owens for president 2028.
Amen. Phil, I'll tell you something too. When I started going through the rounds of different, and I'm going to be very careful what I say here because there's some things I can't say because Candace would know. I'll say it like that. I made the rounds through different intelligence connections that I have after spending 7 years with these idiots. Not to say I didn't work. Some of these guys were really dedicated. I don't want to say they were all idiots, but they're very dedicated. But as I made the rounds to try to get some understanding about what's going on with Candace, one thing that was pointed out to me was that I was told this, and this was from the Israeli side. Israel, the United States, and France, all three have a very good reason to want to silence her. I don't agree with their good reason, period, but that was the comment that was made to me. And of course, the person didn't like her either. For that matter, doesn't like me either, considers me to be a traitor Jew, as I'm often referred to. But the thing is, I think with Charlie, in the case with Charlie, Phil, I remember calling you one time. Me and Colin had been working on, I was trying to investigate this whole case with Charlie from a standpoint of working with an assassin for 7 years in the CIA, knowing how, not in the beginning, but later, how things were plotted, how they were planned. I mean, taking down planes, everything else. I've been involved in it, and unfortunately seen far too much at a very young age that I wish I'd have never seen. But I knew how they go about things. I know how a lot of people could be involved, never know they're involved. And that's just the nature of intelligence, whether it be CIA, Mossad, MI6, KGB is out of the question, but whatever it is, whatever intelligence operation is out there, or subbing the work out to another country or another agency. That's one reason why I think Canada should not take her eyes off of Israel, because Israel will farm that out, because they know somebody else has a reason, an axe to grind as well, and they say, look, we need you to handle this so that our hands are not dirty in this. With that being said, as I looked at that, I remember calling you up one day, Phil, and I asked you, I said, Phil, what would be your thought on how Charlie was taken out? And you said microphone. And I'm like, I took it seriously because you said it. And, but then we were still looking at the possibility of him being shot from the side, vacuum, but I couldn't get over this airflow going up. And that was one thing, and I kept staying in my mind. And then Colin had on, was his name I? Is that how you pronounce his name, Colin? The young man that you had on that we interviewed?
Ali,
yes. Ali, a guy from Lebanon, and he had suggested the same thing, but he had taken it a little different. And so I went back and I began to think of what you shared with me. And then I called up some experts that I knew that knew everything about this type of device. Using Petten, how would Petten work? How could it be used? I talked to a nuclear scientist that would know exactly how to build the device. And the one nuclear scientist that I spoke to, besides the intelligence, I talked to former CIA, Iran, different people that I knew would have a better knowledge and understanding. They all agreed that it was a very plausible, realistic idea, that it actually was indeed Petten, a very low grade used in there. And I wanted to share with you, to get your opinion, Phil, on this, a little clip. I have blacked out Charlie's face on one part, but it's mainly just to look at a very interesting thing that I recorded over and over and over. And it's just when a shirt begins to move, the microphone that's literally, let's see, I guess on this side of Charlie, goes all the way to this side and then detonates. And that's what I'd like for you to get your comment on that. So I made sure that it's not graphic. I'll pull that up, Colin, real quick.
For me, that was the tell. Like I too was on the he was shot with either the BA building or with a drone or something. Until I saw that, to me, seeing how the cord, the microphone went up in the shirt like that, and it looked like it, if you watch the video, it looks like somebody was pinching the left side of his shirt up in the air, and this completely explains all of that. And one quick thing before we play that video is, for the audience that may not understand, Petten, P-E-T-N, it's basically a like a non-volatile explosive. It's like a stable explosive. You can handle it, you can mess with it. it will not just detonate unless you actually trigger it, either with you could trigger it with a laser, or you could trigger it with electricity, but there has to be some kind of force, some kind of energy to actually make it explode.
Exactly. And one thing I'll share also when I get to this other part here is I want to share with those that are for Phil's sake, especially what a friend of mine actually said about it. Let me, if you can pull it up, I'm going to just play this clip first, Colin, just for Phil to see. Just tell me when you're ready.
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. Hang on, I got to get this window out of my way. Here we go. What I do is I'll do it regular speed and then slow it down, Phil, and you'll see just the movement of his body, the shirt, the impact, everything. And if you'll notice it right there around his collar, it goes all the way to the far side. It starts right there under his neck, and then right there, I'll stop it right there. Right, is my mouse showing up on there?
Yeah, can you zoom it in though? Can you make it bigger by any chance?
I'm going to take a quick picture, and I'll end up sharing that picture so I can zoom it in. And then I'm going to take a little circle on this here so we have it in the circle as well. And then let me, wait a minute. I don't have to do that. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Get it right here. I'm going to stop sharing that for a second so I can pull the other one up.
Sure.
And Phil, forgive me, I'm not the smartest ray of sunshine on knowing how to work all this stuff. This is for young people.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I can barely do a text.
Oh, gosh. All right, here we go right here, Phil. Let me pull that down. And if you can share that on there now, Colin, let's see here.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so you can see on here, Phil, this thing actually went from all the way here to the left, all the way in this right here now. It's on the left side of his shirt there. And you don't see it as of yet because it hasn't actually detonated. That's the weird thing. And I think that's why we have two different sounds in here. But when it does, it almost appears as if he was stabbed with a knife initially, and then when the muscles are no longer contracted, then it opens up to a big gaping wound there. And I'm going to go back to that video, Colin, real quick. And are we able to, let's see, do I have to stop that one, right? And then
yep,
back. And then the other thing is okay, share screen. Okay. I think it's this one. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe I got it wrong. Can you see it?
Yep.
No? Okay,
that was the wrong one. That's your StreamYard.
Okay. All right. Let me stop that one. Let me minimize that. So, I minimized it too much is what I did. That's what I did wrong. Okay. Let me just minimize it a little bit, and I can share it properly. Okay. There we go. Got it. All right. So there's, oh gosh, come on, get a hold of this rascal and move it. The other thing on here is when it goes there, then it detonates right there, Phil, right when his shirt goes up. That's when we have the detonation. And then what I did, the other thing that was interesting, and this is where we'll get the audio, is when I'm going to blur his face here. The thing about the audio is, let me see, okay, here we go. And I'm going to play that part. I'm sorry, Colin, go ahead.
Well, when you had it up there, I was just pointing out how it looked like, his shirt looked like somebody was pinching it, like a ghost was pinching it or whatever, which I believe that is the point that the explosion actually went off, and that was the blowback.
Right. This is actually the wire right here. When that is lifted up in the air, that's the wire itself up in the air, lifted way up. And at that point there is what we see there. And then I guess it's when it's coming back down, you see that there. So maybe it's actually the other way around, and the knife hole is already there. I know I've zoomed in on it before, and I think that is when you see the knife hole is when it comes back down. So I may have had that backwards. The one thing, though, I do want to share, too, this is what's really interesting, and I'm not a sound expert, but when we get to the part, and I have it played over and over and over, when you watch the movement of his shirt, knowing that sound travels at 1,125 feet a second, and then the time that the image of the shirt moves and the fire goes off, it's almost simultaneously, which means the detonation would have had to have happened right where Charlie is sitting. And I've done that from 3 different phones, and they all, in that same 40-foot rough area, do the exact same thing. Whoops, sorry about that. I did something wrong. But anyway, we don't have to play that part there, but if you do it for that sound part, you'll see that. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Phil, and just seeing that type of imagery.
Well, like, I'm not an expert either in ballistics or any other thing that they can use, and there's probably a myriad of them. But from what I've listened and learned from Candace, and she is digging this. I mean, she's really digging it. And the truth matters. And Candace has got probably some of the best intelligence, some of the best people analyzing, some of the best people in the world figuring this out. But there's no way he got shot by a 30-06 by this guy, Tyler Robinson. I mean, come on. I used to shoot 30-06 to kill deer and elk. It blows, especially in the neck, it probably blowed half his head off. Who knows? Probably all of it. 30-06 has got a lot of impact power, boy. And, that's what the old M1 Grands were, 30-06s, and they'd knock you down. So, but I don't believe any of it. I think it was a setup deal. He didn't take the $150 million from Netanyahu. He didn't take the trip. He didn't take the trip to Israel. There's a lot of things that lead up to it. So, and then all of a sudden.
Absolutely. And the, I agree with you.
Phil, let me tell you what, a good friend of mine, and I can't call his name, but he is a nuclear scientist. He is military, dealt with these types of explosives before in his past. He says here to me, when I sent him a message asking him about PET and the use, and I actually asked about being used in the actual, not even the microphone, but the line itself. And he writes me back. He said, I'm assuming that you're considering that Kirk hit may have been done with PET and detonation cord segment. He said, of course, triggering the detonator and circuit would have to be installed in or near the microphone or as a linear array with the cord itself, presumably with a receiver to gate the RF code to drive the voltage pulse delivered to the detonator. Interesting concept, and obviously routinely within my capabilities of Langley, within the capabilities of Langley or Mossad, Langley being CIA, as even I would have little difficulty with such a project. PET has been, to my understanding, used for nuclear implosions, but it is susceptible to neutrons from, for instance, plutonium spontaneous fission. There are lifetime limitations to the PET, but for an operation such as this hit, are not relevant. If such were used, there could be evidence of a shock front expert in the case of a very small amount used for an ablation process. Of course, the microphone cord would merit an examination. So with that being said, Phil, I think that lends a lot of credibility to that very possibility. And of course, it takes away the theory of some rogue young kids out there because they're transgender or something like that being the issue.
And the other thing with why the 30-06 would not work whatsoever is because also supposedly, now we haven't seen the autopsy, but supposedly there is an autopsy, even though I have police audio that I found that clearly says there wasn't an autopsy, but supposedly there's an autopsy. But anyway, in the autopsy, they say this is like a magic bullet. Supposedly it enters and goes up and then flies and then goes back down, all the way down. I mean, it's just ridiculous what they're saying. It's just, there's no way. It's impossible.
It is impossible. And what they're trying to twist, what everybody saw, with their own eyes, and to say this guy would take a 30-06 apart, put it back together, change clothes again, put it back together, leave it in a towel for them to find. I mean, how bright a person does it take to believe something like that? It doesn't. And this is a government cover-up, probably sponsored by foreign governments. I don't know exactly who, but I got a good idea. But, Ben, I'm going to go back to something you said. You're Jewish, and this isn't about a Jewish thing for me. It's about transparency.
Yes.
And with the USS Liberty. And it becomes, well, I'll put it this way. The Jews in America, some don't support what's going on in Gaza. They never will. What bothers me is some of the people that believe in Judaism, the Jews believe our ship was attacked by accident. And I can see why, in a way, because they were lied to by their own government too, just as we were here in America. And if our ship goes down, they've been asking for oceans of blood. USS Liberty sunk by Egypt. I mean, nuclear war, us not sinking by the grace of God, saved a nuclear war. Millions of people could have perished from this earth because of our ship going down. And they wouldn't have let up. All the land they wanted, they're trying to get now, or already taken, they'd have gotten back in 1967 if the USS Liberty sinks. And that's what's so important about this is, listen, the transparency in our Congress, they have none. They're controlled by AIPAC. The transparency in media and everything else, and I've said it over and over again, is always one-sided because they're owned by Jewish entities. Let's just figure it out. Richard Murdoch, the rest of them.
100%.
Oh, yeah. So here we are. By the way, thank God for alternative media, or we wouldn't be anywhere today. And thank God for Candace Owens giving me the opportunity to speak to her. It's funny, when she called me up, I saw it was Candace Owens. And I said, okay. And she said, I'm sorry that I haven't talked about this or heard about before. And she apologized. And I said, wait a minute, is this the real Candace Owens? And she said, yes, it is. And she invited me out to Tennessee, and it was she was so gracious. And the Spirit of Jesus Christ was with us both that day. It was, I'm telling you, it was a feeling like I've never had before. It was very spiritual and very respectful on both ends. I mean, it was, she's a very generous, loving person, and she cares about everybody. I mean, but she wants to tell the truth, and she's doing it. And look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to kill her. It's out in the open. So what's going to happen, you guys? What do you think?
We need to stand up for is what we need to do, and do everything we can to prevent that from happening, because there are people like, especially Israel, that would like to silence her, and that's just the cold hard facts. They're the ones that try to silence everybody. I know that when I got the message from the Mossad family that I know their hatred for me, they said, one, you betrayed your people, you became a Christian, all this kind of good stuff. And, but Phil, I'm even now, I've been promising for 2 years to write a book to refute Zionist beliefs. And I finally have gotten 6 chapters into it. My wife finished her book, her first book on the Noahide laws. That was the one that they tried to kill her over. And that was thanks to Israel. And one reason we know that, is, or at least my opinion, is because they sent 2 Mossad agents to a church she was speaking at and told us that if we didn't shut up and get back on the right track of the Zionist agenda, that things wouldn't go well. So it all leads right back to that little country every single time. And I don't know why. I mean, and the sad thing is, Phil, it's normally Jewish people, like, Candace interviewed Finkelstein. She had him on. You've got, it's just, Miko Peled. There's just one Jewish guy or a woman after another that finally comes out and says, hey, this is wrong. Even Rabbi Schoenfeld, and I don't even like calling him that name, because to me, you exalt them as if they're your master, and I don't believe that. But Schoenfeld wrote the book Holocaust Victims Accused, and proves through the court cases that Israel sent 800,000 Jews to Auschwitz that they could have rescued, because they wanted to have a right for the partition when the Middle East was partitioned out so they could have a state. That's how evil they are, and not every Jew. It's just, but that group like Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, and Smotrich, these bunch of thugs that are there, yes, they're just evil as can be.
As far as my thoughts about what will happen, I'm not really sure. Although I do know that we cannot stop, we cannot let up. We have to keep telling the truth. We have to keep demanding transparency from the government, demanding they take this seriously, demanding, even with the USS Liberty, demanding they tell the truth, they release the records, they tell everything in full.
Yes.
And as far as Candace is concerned, as they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. That scares them when you expose the evil that they're doing, and that's what it is. This is a war of good versus evil we're in right now. This is not left versus right. This is not Jews versus non-Jews. This is a war of good versus evil, is what it comes down to. And God is on our side, and as long as we continue to expose it and tell the truth, I think ultimately we will prevail.
Yeah,
that would be a blessing, and blessings do come. I know that because I've had many of them, and not just with the USS Liberty, but other things in my life, which you'll learn about in my new book, Stay Afloat. Go to philturneypodcast.com. We got hats, we got mugs, and we got shirts, and we got hoodies. I got one on now. I love this hoodie. And right here, USS Liberty, stay afloat. And that's what I'm doing, staying afloat. I've been staying afloat all these years to get the truth out, transparency. The 34 men that were murdered that day didn't have a voice. They didn't have one voice. Young men cut down. I saw them cut down. I worked on an operation with Doc Kiefer and opened a guy. I mean, come on, man. Some of the stuff you see, I haven't blacked it out. I still see it, but it gives me a mission. 34 men are talking from their graves through me.
That's right.
I want them to understand that they're not forgotten by me or the USS Liberty crew that's still alive. We only got 40, 50 guys alive, probably, if that many. So, we're thinning down. So, but we need all the help we can get. All the help we can get from everybody. Again, go to philturneypodcast.com. I've repeated it several times. Do it. Look at it. See what you think. And let's try to take our country back legally and lawfully. We're not saying anything about insurrection or anything like that. The truth shall set you free. We don't need a weapon to do that.
Amen. That's exactly right. Gosh,
I agree.
Phil, such a pleasure to have you on tonight. It really is. And I want to thank Colin as well for hosting this. It's airing also on Israeli News Live. And we want to, again, thank Candace as well for spotlighting the USS Liberty, because she, like Colin, reaches a broad younger audience as well. And it's the young people that need to carry this on. So
they're the smart ones. They're the smart ones. They are the smart ones. The Gen Z, they ask questions. You know, it's all over the place. USS Liberty is all over the place, but nobody wants to really take it up. I'm sure you've seen that, Colin.
Absolutely. And that is why, honestly, that is why Israel is so afraid right now. That's why they're ramping up their PR budget. They've just doubled their PR budget. That's why they are running a geofencing campaign at all the churches on the West Coast to steal their data so they can push pro-Israeli propaganda that was just released through FARA. Because they're
brainwashed ministers in Israel just visited there because they didn't do their job. So they're going to re-educate them.
Exactly. But they're losing. My point is they're losing the youth because the youth is waking up. They're seeing the true evil and it's not like I said, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not against Jewish people as a whole. It's Benjamin Netanyahu and the current Israeli government. They are evil, especially Netanyahu. He is evil. And people are seeing that. They're waking up to it. Even like there's so many friends of mine that are Jews that I speak with online. They're speaking out about it. Everybody is speaking out about it. And that's why they're terrified. That's why they're in panic mode. That's why they killed Charlie. And I will say that is my opinion. They killed Charlie. And the reason they did it is because he is the vessel to the youth.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Phil, please.
No. The vessel to the youth now is coming on as Ben Shapiro. So how's that going to work out for us?
He's waning. I don't know if you've looked at his channel lately, but his popularity is just dropping like a rock. People are realizing that he is nothing but a shill.
Yeah, it's about time. And, you know, again, I want to really thank you guys. Colin, it's nice meeting you, my friend. And God bless you for what you're doing and standing up for what's right. You know, I'm 79
you as well, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm 79 years old now, and I will bring up last weekend, I was skydiving with my son and my grandson in Tucson, Arizona. We had a great time, went up at 11,000 feet and got on the ground just fine, and we had a good time. But, you know, remember, PhilTurneyPodcast.com.
Yes.
And we're going to make it. We'll make it all together. And if you ever need me again, boys, just let me know. I'll be glad to be there.
You're always welcome on my show. You're always welcome. Anytime you have a message, you just call me up, call Steve up. You're always welcome on this channel anytime, my friend.
Okay. Well, listen, maybe you can share, Steve, you can share his phone number with me and everything like that. And we'll stay in touch, Colin. Thank you. Bless you guys.
Thank you, Phil.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, I everybody go ahead and go to PhilTurneyPodcast.com. Go ahead and pre-order his new book. His new book right here is Stay Afloat. Be coming out soon. I highly suggest everybody go ahead and pre-order it and check out his website, and also speak up. You know, help this man, help all of us. You know, we need to have the government. You know, we need our government to be transparent. You know, if we're going to get the trust back, if they're going to get the trust back, if we're going to gain our sovereignty back, the first thing we need to do is have transparency. And Phil's pushing for that. He's pushing for the truth. You know, they need to come out and tell the truth of what happened that day with the USS Liberty.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I guess we're wrapped up.
We are wrapped up. Thank you. And thank you guys for listening on Israeli News Live as well. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. God bless everybody. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.